Hello there, I hope you are doing great. In this video I will be showing you how to install and configure the CrownJobs plugin for your Minecraft server. Now you might ask yourself, what actually is CrownJobs? Well, simply said, it's a Minecraft plugin that allows you to add jobs that your players can work to earn in-game money to your server. It has some configuration options, but more on that later. After purchasing the plugin on Build by Bit, a link for that can be found in the video description, you simply move the downloaded jar into your server's plugins folder and restart the server. Alright, after doing that, you should be able to see the plugin enabled in your plugins list, and you can type /jobs help to view a list of all the existing commands. And we will go through them one by one. We have /jobs, which is the only command that is available for all players, which opens the jobs UI. Here you can see all the information about the jobs that you have. For example, you can see that I'm able to have one job at the same time and that I'm currently able to change my job. Now I'm going to select the miner job to showcase you the functionality of all the features. Now you can see that the miner job is active. I can now take my pickaxe and start mining some iron ore. As you can see in the action bar, there's the information displayed about how much money I earn and how much XP I gain. Now, after mining some iron, we should be close to our first level up, which I will show you now. As you can see, we have reached the first level. As a reward, we have got $100, and there's a rocket being spawned on the player that leveled up. Now all the other jobs work basically the same. Now we'll continue with the next command, which is the jobs help command, which basically just shows you this list that you're seeing right now. After that, we have the jobs reload command, which, as written here, reloads the plugin's configuration and messages. I can do that by typing jobs reload. It will basically just reload everything. Next is the jobs save command, which saves the cached player data. Nothing to really worry about, just if you want to make sure everything is saved, you can type this. But by default, the data is being saved every minute anyways, and if a player leaves as well. So the next command is the jobs list command, which shows me a list of all the existing jobs, as you can see here. Next we have the holo list. I will explain in a minute what a holo is, but as you can see, there are no holos right now. Now we're getting to the holo command, which allows us to add, remove, TP the holos. So to show you what a holo is, I will basically just create one by typing jobs holo add and then choose a name. We're going to call this holo miner. We have now created the miner holo. Now we have to assign a job to that holo. We can do that by typing job holo set job. I'm sorry, here we have to type jobs holo set job, and then we have to choose the holo, and then we have to choose a job, which will be the miner for this one. Now you can see the holo spawned. Well, usually there should be like 10 holograms, but as this is my test server, only I am known to the server, and thus there's only one holo being displayed. But on your server there should be 10 or as many as you specified in the configuration. You can move the hologram simply by typing /jobs holo TP here, and then choose a holo. It will teleport the holo right here. So if you want the holo to be a little lower, you would have to go a little lower and then TP the holo like this. The holo is spawning very high because it's a long list normally. The next command would be the job user command. That simply allows the administrator to edit the user data. So for me, if I check my hunter job, I'm level 0 with 0 experience, but I can use the jobs user command to edit my information for the hunter job, and then we choose what action we want to do. Let's set my level to 5, and let's also get my XP to 20. Now, if I type /jobs and check, you can see that the information has been changed. Yes, and then there's also the jobs user set max jobs command, which basically edits the player's max jobs, but it does not override the permissions. Okay, now to the plugin configuration. There are two main files that are important for you if you want to change anything. You have the config file and the English file, which is the language. We will start with the configuration file. Here you can change the language if you have any other files, but the standard is EN, which is the EN file. Now this is data save interval. It's basically the number it would take to save the player's data again into the files, which is by default 60 seconds. Remember that the player's data is always saved when the player leaves, so you should not set this too low to overload the server. Now we have the ranking data update interval. This is basically the amount of time that is passed before the server updates the ranking data, which is by default 300 seconds. Now, this is basically how many players are shown in the ranking holo. By default it's 10. You can set this to 3 or 5 or whatever you want. We just set a limitation to not use more than 10. Now, this is how long the player has to wait to change the job again. By default, this is set to -1, which would disable that function. But if you want to change that, you can do so. Also, this is in milliseconds, not in seconds as the rest. Now here, this is the max job count. The default job count for every player. This, which is 1. You can set that to whatever you want. And also, as written here, this overrides the personal limits. So if somebody has 2 jobs as set as the permission, and this is set to 5, that person will also have 5 jobs. Now this is self-explanatory. If you don't want the action part to be sent, just disable this. This is the same thing for the title and for the firework. By default, they're all enabled. Also, this is to disable the permissions. If you don't want to use that function, you can just disable it. Here it tells you what permission it is and how that works. Now we get to the important stuff. Basically, we have the actions that are available to create new jobs. We have break, and this basically means that if you break blocks using TNT, it will also count as break. Then you have kill, pick up, fish, place, brew, enchant, smelt, consume, and harvest. So now we can use that actions to create new jobs. For example, we have the hunter job here, which will basically trigger with the kill action. So if you kill something, it will trigger. Now here, you can define what entities can be killed to trigger that function, right? Because we don't want every entity to trigger that. We only want those entities to trigger that. And you can also set the reward for every entity, like you have the money reward and the XP reward. Now, next is the permission for a set job. Every job can have its own permission. Here's the display name. The description, everything is pretty self-explanatory. You have the show item, which is just the item that is shown in the GUI. Here you have the head texture. I can show you more about that later. This is the slot in the GUI, the max level that is possible to reach, which by default is 20. Here, this is the base amount to level up. So to reach level 1, you need 50 XP. This is a multiplier, so for every level, this amount increases, and that's just the multiplier that it increases by. This is the base money reward, so by reaching level 1, you would get $50, and for every level, it multiplies by this. And this is basically just the multiplier for these values. So for level 0, it's these values, but for level 1, it would be multiplied by this. Now, to show you the head texture, we will scroll down to another job, like this for example. To use the head texture, we simply set the show item to player head, and then we simply insert the texture here. The important part is that we do not insert the whole texture. We only insert everything that comes after this. So that's basically everything in the config, and now we'll move on to the en language file. The first thing is obviously the prefix for the plugin, which you can change if you want. This is the white color, so the default color for all the text. And this is an accent color, which is like design stuff. Here you have all the messages that you can change however you want. You can use these placeholders, prefix, white, and accent, which will be replaced by these values. Then here you can change job inventory. This shows you how many jobs you have at the same time. This is the delay line and the delay waiting line, and also the inventory name, which is this. Now the next thing is the item law for all the jobs, like the show items, which is by default set to this, but you can change it however you like. And these are the placeholders that would work in here. The next thing is the level up title. When you level up and you have that function enabled, you will see this title. You can change everything like you want. These are the placeholders that would work with this. And the next thing is the ranking holo design. Here you have the placeholders that are working with that. Alright, I think everything is self-explanatory, and if not, you could ask questions in our Discord. A link for that can be found in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you later. Hello there, it's me again. Before you leave, I just wanted to inform you that we are looking for ideas to turn into projects. So if you have any that you'd like to share with us, just join our Discord or message me directly. All the information for that can be found in the description. Bye bye.